Hi everybody, thank you so much for being here. I also want to just say thank you to anyone who has watched my series or any parts of my series of the Power and Control Wheel. It's a 12-part video and there's a playlist where I have all of them. I'll link it below in case you haven't seen it yet or would like to. And to all the people that have reached out, thank you so much. I truly, that is so very kind. And please know, if you are somebody who wishes you could have done something, please know there was nothing you could do, at least for me. I lied about everything in that relationship. What I told people, we were so happy. Lies, all of it was just lies. And there wasn't time for me to even tell people how bad everything was, obviously. I was isolated and controlled to the point of sleeping 2 hours a night, 3 hours a night. I want to make this next video all about how I either tried getting out in the beginning and to the point of where I finally successfully cut him off. And that's a very hard thing to do. It is one of the hardest, if not the hardest thing to do. Because at this stage of the abuse, you are so knocked down and so tore down that you feel your sense of worth to be zero, to be negative. And what's also difficult is I don't even feel like I am myself. I feel like I'm this completely other person that I couldn't even imagine being here in that situation. I felt a shell of a human, just a shell of a human, a zombie, a ghost, living each day, barely. I was just surviving through each day. The thing you have to do to get out is find that last little ounce and spark within you. Find something, someone that cares about you, and think about doing it. Think about it being successful. Think about you being free. Now, I tried breaking up with my abuser probably 10 to 15 times, most of which were obviously unsuccessful. And it was because I either didn't have enough chutzpah to get the job done, or it was just the please, please, please don't leave me. I will get better. I will be better. I will never do this again. I will never talk to you like that again. Things will change. I will change. Obviously, he didn't change. His behavior got worse. And the cycles continued. The abuse continued. There were a couple of moments that definitely had pause in our relationship. One of which is when my parents came to town, and it was even a shock for them to know that I had a boyfriend, because I was lying about even being in a relationship, because I was, yes, that ashamed of what was going on. I couldn't even tell people that I was with this guy. And my poor parents were just met with this guy at my door when I came home from work, and they had to be nice and greet him and like, okay. But when I went to go hold my mom and give her a hug, I broke down. She could tell, and she instinctively knew something was wrong. My mom is a very intuitive person. My mom knows me probably better than I know myself in many respects. And me not calling her every day, every other day, big red flag for her. So she knew something was wrong. So going through and kind of talking with them a little bit about things, I broke up with him. With my parents there, in the room. Very awkward, but it was needed. And then, of course, he weasels his way back. I don't know, maybe a week later, 2 weeks later. It was quick. And, you know, I was met with my parents, who are now not there anymore, saying, well, are you sure everything's okay? Obviously it wasn't. Obviously things were not okay, but I lied, and I said they were. There was an additional time that my parents came out, in which I had to lie to my abuser and tell him that it was a surprise trip, because if I would have told him my parents had a scheduled plan to come out here, he would have made me cancel. He would have made me say, no, sorry Mom and Dad, you can't come. And I mean that because he would watch me as I would talk to my parents, as I would talk to my mom on the phone. So controlling. And that is so important for them, to isolate you, make you feel alone, to truly own you and control you, to keep their dominance. So this conversation that I was having with my mom about them coming and visiting my parents, she just said, Ashley, tell me what is wrong. Like, I know something is wrong. And I couldn't really tell her. She asked, like, are you pregnant? Are you on drugs? And I think I just had to lie and say, I just need you to get here. I can't wait for you to be here. And boy, was he mad. He was not a fan of my, what I said to my mom. He was trying to mouth to me what to say to her. And when I didn't say what he wanted me to say to her, stood up and smashed his hands on the walls, and yelled at me, screamed at me, told me how stupid I was. Don't you understand? I need you in your time. I need you. You think your parents need you right now? I'm the one that needs you. This is gonna mess everything up. Boy. The amount of abuse that man put on me. So my parents arrived, and lo and behold, I broke up with him again, and he weaseled his way back in. I'm pretty sure after that time as well, because lo and behold, I brought him home for Thanksgiving. I brought him home to my family and my friends and what is most sacred to me, and not by choice. That was by force. And of course, I paid for his plane ticket. So here I am, uncomfortable as I've ever been in my home, Wisconsin, my home. Feeling a shell of a human, feeling low, so low. It was an awful experience. He made me late for family gatherings. He cared only about himself. All of my family and friends did not like him. There were so many red flags from that trip alone. It was just very eye-opening. Then for Christmas, what luckily helped and was a catalyst for me was I went home by myself to Wisconsin, and I was with my family and friends and could finally restore just a little bit of who I was, gain back just that ounce, just that little ounce that I needed. And when I came back to California, I held off from seeing him for a while And I said, I can't see you. Unfortunately, he did have keys to my apartment, so he could get in. But I luckily did have a full-time job, unlike him. So that helped with at least keeping my time for most of the week. And a Saturday, I told him to come over, that I wanted to talk to him. And I finally took that little ounce of self-worth and I gave it to him. And I said, hey, the way you treat me, terrible. The way you speak to me is terrible. Our relationship is terrible. But please know, I did not do this in my apartment. I did this outside in a public setting where people could see us. Very important. If you are able to separate yourself from your abuser, don't get back into the same room with him if you can avoid it. I understand if there are kids, this is going to be a much more difficult process. Please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Reach out to somebody that can help you, please. But I was able to separate myself from him and keep us separate, which helps in many ways. Helps to restore a little bit of the power to me. I can reach out to people. I can talk to people who I was talking to at home. Keep my mind a little bit clearer from his toxicity. And I finally told him, I don't ever want to see you again. I don't ever want to see you here. I don't ever want to see you again in my life. And unfortunately, that was not the last time I saw him, but not by choice. He came back a week later with like a letter claiming how much he loved me and he wanted to talk to me and see me. And I wouldn't even open the door. He just knocked on my door over and over and over again and left a letter there. I never read that letter, and I'm certainly glad I never did. Now, even though the abuse happened, and it is the hardest thing I've ever gone through, for me, I am right now stronger than I have ever been. I am more resilient and just more confident. I am much better now than I've ever been. But there are many steps that need to be taken once you are finally able to break. Where I am right now took 2 years. 2 years of me to get to a point finally feeling free. And I'll explain that a little bit more in some other videos coming up, talking about how are the first steps and what are the first steps you take to trying to heal yourself. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. A little bit of story time. Hopefully somebody can learn from this. Just remember, sometimes the things in life that are the hardest in the moment will end up defining just those moments, not your life. Don't let that bog you down. Learn from your past and make your future better. Always know you are worth it. You deserve respect, and that you're never alone. Thank you so much for being here. Bye, guys.